Hello there, welcome back, 10:05. Now, new rules governing golden visas and green visas and all the other types of rules and regulations are due to come into force in the next 2 weeks. They were announced by the UAE's Federal Authority for Identity, Citizenship, Customs and Port Security back in April. And they're finally going to come into force this September. Basically, it means more people will be able to apply for both the 10-year golden visa and the new 5-year green residence visa. New entry permits for tourists and job seekers will also be introduced. I'd love to hear from you. If you've got one of these magic golden visas, I always imagine them a bit like, I don't know, have you seen Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the Roald Dahl movie? I always imagine them as a bit like, I've got a golden ticket. There's like a golden ticket song. Zena's here in the studio with me, laughing at me.
That's an interesting way of looking at it. Welcome back, by the way.
Thank you. It's lovely to be back. Thank you for doing the show last week. I really appreciate it.
Pleasure, but
it was
happy
amazing.
you're back.
Yes, I'm happy to be back. You know, you can take a holiday, but it is good to get into a routine. I've definitely relaxed.
Oh, yeah, 6 weeks.
Shh, don't say that on air. Wasn't that long?
Every time I called you, you were like on a farm or in a car traveling somewhere.
I was mostly on a farm. It was very rural. I made friends with the guinea fowl and the geese. They came and visited me every morning, and I did talk to them. Apparently, the language that you use with guinea fowl is you goggle at them. Just so you know, I just goggled.
Give us an example.
Goggle. Goggle, goggle, goggle.
Oh,
goggle, goggle.
Literally goggle.
You literally goggle.
Okay.
You say, hi, girls. Goggle, goggle. They understand. They came and talked to me. We're supposed to be talking about golden visas.
Golden visas.
And I'm doing goggle noises on the radio.
On the radio. Well, I have a few friends who've got these golden visas, and they say it's amazing because in a way, you know, they don't have to worry about losing their jobs and getting kicked out of the country if they don't find another job. They can just stay here. I'm not sure if that's entirely accurate.
Well, that is when you say it's not. I think you have to have a job contract as well. I don't think you can just have the golden visa. I think anyway. So the reason why we Zena and I were talking about this on WhatsApp last week. I mean, like we actually don't know the rules. Neither of us know the rules. So we decided to go and get a professional on the matter. We are joined on the line now by Ali Al-Assaad, who's just laughing at us, who is of course from Dentons Middle East and is a lot more knowledgeable about the rules surrounding golden visas than we are. Hi Ali, how are you?
Good. How are you too? Welcome back.
It's lovely to be back. Have you had a holiday? I always feel terribly guilty when people go, no, not yet.
I had a very short one in July, but I'm going to a dense one in September. So. Good.
I'm glad to hear it. Well, I have to say, my husband was back for the last 2 weeks, and he said that it wasn't as quiet as you'd expect in the legal market. Actually, it's quite busy this summer, so that's interesting. So tell me, these visa changes, they were announced back in April. How come they're only just now coming into force?
Yeah, it is common in the system that certain time a regulation is issued, like the main law was issued, but there was a subsequent executive regulation to be released. This was released end of July, and it's very normal to give a grace period until these come into force. And the changes we are talking about today will come into force on the 5th of September. That's the official date. However, maybe there is some steps or some application that may take a bit longer until we see them really in practice.
So I remember when the story broke back in April, it was, I mean, basically the changes were really hailed as quite groundbreaking. And I know that there were sort of alterations made to both the golden visa and then new visas were introduced. So let's start with the new permits that were brought in that are now going to come into force on the 5th of September. What's changed? What's new? Is one of them the green visa? Is that new?
Yes, basically. The main entry permits or visas we'll be talking about today are the green visa and the multiple entry visa for visitors. So these were first announced around around Q3 2021. They were just as a plan, and now we are seeing the actual law regulating these applications. So the main groundbreaking one is actually the green visa, because here is the first time we see professionals being able to have employment in the UAE without the need for a sponsor, and their visa is no longer linked to their employer. So, yes, as a first step to start with it, they need to have an active employment, but once they get this green visa, at that time, their employment will be completely separated from the visa.
Okay, that is super interesting because that's exactly the type of visa that I would have come into the country on, I think, because as it happens, I came with my husband and, you know, I was on the wife visa. But I think for a lot of people, that will enable them to have a job flexibility. It'll encourage people to come in, you know, on the off chance that they might get a job here. Is that right?
For people who are looking for jobs, they cannot apply for the green visa. They need to come on a visit visa that allow them to explore chances of employment, which is also regulated now under the new labor law, under the new executive regulation. But for the green visa, they need to have an active employment, and from there they can start the application. And the requirements are not that severe, so I believe a huge number of people will be able to benefit from it.
But then there is those Jobseeker visas, right? Which, oddly enough, my nanny is going to be coming. She's away at the moment. She's coming back from her long holiday in a couple of weeks, and she's planning to bring her 2 daughters with her, and they are going to be able to come in on these special, newly introduced Jobseeker visas, rather than the sort of visit visa process that they used to do.
It's still under the umbrella of visit visa, but with the purpose of looking for a job. And there's a requirement there to have at least a bachelor degree from a university. So it's basically open for people with qualification. If we are talking about somebody who doesn't have a degree of university, they may still need to go back under the old system of applying for a visit visa sponsored by a tourist company to look for a job.
Oh, that is interesting, actually, because, of course, people that tend to come in to do housework, for example, or waitressing, or they may not hold a bachelor, a degree, basically. So they would still need to come into the other visas. That is interesting. Right, now tell me about these golden visas. They already existed, but I understand the government's now changed the eligibility criteria. Is it now easier to get one?
Yes, it is relatively, not actually considerably easier, because before, under the system introduced in 2018, the golden visa for investor had 2 types, had like the 5 years and the 10 years, because there was some kind of like a silver visa in the middle, but now it's covered under the green. So now all the golden visa will be for 10 years. And before, the requirement for investor used to be 10 million dirham or 5 million dirham in a property. This number was reduced now to 2 million. So if somebody invests in a property that's worth 2 million dirham, or they have an investment in an investment fund in the UAE of 2 million dirham, they will be eligible to apply for this green visa. And here now we're talking about a major reduction in the number required. So I believe much more people will be open and interested in it right now.
Okay, so that means that all those people who were feeling rather fancy with their golden visas because they'd invested so much money in the country, do they now get an extra special one? Because we've seen the memes. We've all seen the memes of people saying, "What about my platinum visa?" Do you think there's going to be?
Not yet, maybe
Not
in
yet.
the future, but for now it is a golden visa of 10 years. And some of the main changes right now, people, for example, let's say somebody is eligible for a golden visa, they will be able to sponsor their dependents, like family and first degree. In the event, like God forbid, the holder of this visa or the one who was eligible for it pass away, now the family or his dependents will continue to avail of the visa until its expiry. So it's not going to be completely interrupted.
And that's a
So
big
this will
deal.
give more security now.
And that's a big deal for people with sons as well, isn't it? For example, oddly enough, my husband's super keen for me to try and get a golden visa, because I'm just saying on the radio, if anyone wants to offer me one, that'd be great. I don't think we've got 2 million to invest in property at the moment. So I think I just need to be bestowed. One needs to be bestowed on me for services to broadcasting, because of course we've got the 2 boys, and once they're 18, I think they had to leave the country or get themselves a job here. Whereas now it's a lot later, isn't it?
Yeah, basically, if we are talking about a normal family visa, not the golden visa, the age of sons is increased to 25 years instead of 18. Before it used to be 18 unless they secured like a job or like a university enrollment. Now it's 25 years with few exceptions. If there is a humanitarian case, for example, these numbers can be also considered or extended.
Okay, so back in April when these were all announced, the suggestion was that the new visas would attract investors and entrepreneurs, also highly skilled workers and self-employed residents. Do you think that they will be effective? 6 months down the line, have you already had inquiries from clients about these new visas? Have you seen a sort of flurry of interest?
Actually, we received various inquiries about the golden visa and about the green visa. But until recently, the green visa was still like bit unclear until we got the regulation in July. So yeah, we see there is an interest in it, because the main issue that a lot of professionals used to have at the time of end of employment, especially if there is a dispute, changing jobs used to be a nightmare. And a lot of companies, unfortunately, used to abuse the system, for example, to put like an extra obligation on the employee. Otherwise, they will delay the visa cancellation and so. The green visa will take away all of this hassle, and people won't worry about canceling their visas. But the main concern I have is that these visas usually also behind them there is a work permit from the Ministry of Labor. So now the visa doesn't need to be changed while moving from an employer to another, but we are yet to see how Mohri will cancel these work permits. Would it again require the approval of the employer? Because again, if this will be this case, then people who work in the mainland may still have some issues, while free zones will be much easier.
And that final question that I should have asked you immediately, because it's the one that we came to you with. So if you've got a golden visa, do you still need a work permit or a contract with a company, or can you just stay on the golden visa?
No, for the golden visa, it's not linked to employment. Except one category, for example, people sometimes they get golden visa based on their position in a company. So at that time, yes, they will, to apply, they will need to have an employment. But once they have the visa, if, for example, they lose the employment, it's not going to be an issue, because although some of the visas are still showing the company as a sponsor, but as we've seen in practice, this process is being eliminated now, and all of them are being replaced to self-sponsorship. So employment in certain cases might be required at the beginning, but it's not a condition to maintain the visa later on.
Now, we've got a few questions here, Ali. One of them saying, I think you've already mentioned this, but is the golden visa for 2 million dirhams investment property for 5 or 10 years, please?
It is 10 years now.
Another one saying, maybe we should reserve this for the Wolf of Real Estate, Muhannad Al-Wadiya. But I'd like to get your take on it as well, Ali. I'm buying a property. It's less than 2 million dirhams. Will I be able to apply when the value is above 2 million dirhams in the future?
Yeah.
At the moment, you're not going to be able to do it. But if, for example, we compare it to the previous system in Dubai, that's what used to be called taskin. Sometimes, yes, people maybe invested in a property a long time ago where they were like below the threshold at that time. But in the land department in Dubai, for example, there is a process where you can apply for an evaluation certificate. So if, for example, you bought something that the title deed showed that the value is less than 2 million, and now you believe the market is up, maybe with this evaluation certificate, you will be able to proceed with applying for a golden visa. I cannot give you the guarantee, but this might be the solution.
Great question there from Wayne. Thank you very much for sending them in. Keep them coming. If you want to WhatsApp us, 04871 5500, or of course you can text us on 4001. Ali, as a pleasure. Thank you very much for joining us on the line. Great to get your insights, and I hope we managed to get you on the radio before your next holiday. That's for sure.
Anytime.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. That was Ali. Thank you, Ali Al-Assaad there. He is a lawyer for Dentons Middle East, giving us